Let's see if this works. All right. Hey there. What do you say there, world? Welcome to the Racers Recap, an all new edition, all new co hosts, a new setup, but the same story with breaking down a season of The Amazing Race with our new co host. I want you to meet him up front and center, Joey Cavino.
What's happening?
Classicness.
What's happening, everyone? Glad to be here, Justin.
I'm glad to have you on. Everybody loved you when you were on last time. Everybody loves your honesty. You're very straightforward.
And you?
Um, can't say the same about the accent, but I mean, we're
We got to
gonna.
get through it.
Yeah, I mean, we needed Amy. Won't be joining us today. She will be here next week. Diana will be joining us late, maybe, because this is right around the bedtime. So we might have
Yeah.
to extend, start this at 7:30, so we can get people. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We got the new chat set up in the center here, so people could see. If there's any issues or any problems, please write it in the chat so I could catch up with you. Um, We'll see how it goes. But anyway, this is the Races Recap. We are going to be doing Season 1, Episode 1, and we are pretty stoked about this. A lot of people have been asking for us to go back and do Season 1 and start from all the seasons. And you know what? What's it going to be? It's got to be now. I mean, we're sitting here in quarantine. We were so excited about 32 getting announced, and then boom, they yank it right from under us.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on 32?
I've been staying offline and I just want to be completely surprised by the whole thing. And when I saw that it was coming out, I was stoked. And then I actually didn't even realize until you said it that they canceled this. I was like, ah, shit, because I wanted to go back to just being a fan and just seeing it and not getting any of the getting on any of the sites and checking out anything like that of who's on it. So, when it does come out, I want to be just, hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did too. I mean, I only know of one team that's in it, and I happen to be friends with them, so that's the only reason I know they're in it. It's the only spoiler. I don't know any destinations. I don't know any
Right.
placement finishes. I like to maintain an unspoiled outcome when I'm watching the race, especially when I'm doing recaps, because, I like to give our opinions.
Yeah. I think that's the best part about your show, especially, or our show now, is that,
Yeah.
well, like when I first listened to your cast assessments of me and everyone else on my show and how you were really dead on about a lot of things, but you were really not dead on about, not right at all about some things. And it's kind of exciting to just see and watch the way each character or team progresses throughout the race and our first initial, you know, um, opinions of them
Yeah.
and what they bring to the Amazing Race. It's pretty exciting to go along like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a super fan first and foremost. So, I mean, I could see certain things right away and catch it, but I don't want to be right about everything. I want to be surprised, and that's I think
Right.
what's so great about the Amazing Race is it can continue to surprise you. I mean, you can have winners like Josh and Brent that come out of nowhere, not winning a leg, and then boom, winning the final leg.
Yep.
You could have winners like that, and you can have like our season where everybody's watching the season and like, oh, it's Justin Diana going to win the damn thing, and then boom, at the end.
Yep.
The report is 6 freaking second places to come over and take the win. I mean, it's a great storyline for people watching. It sucked for me, but what are you gonna do? So
We should just call ourselves hashtag second place.
hashtag second place. Yeah, next week we'll be joined by a winner. We'll see what that's like.
Right.
So, what's it like for you in the front lines before we get into this? How's everything going for you, man? You're out there in the streets. What do they got you doing?
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but I got promoted to lieutenant now. So,
Oh,
um,
Lieutenant.
yeah.
Pardon me, Lieutenant Cavino. Lieutenant Cavino. I like
Yeah, I
it.
don't want to brag. No, it's a different type of busy now where we're trying to to do our best and weed out where we need to be and why and when and how and try to we all have families we want to go home to, and we don't want to bring anything home to them, and we don't want to bring anything from somewhere else to another part of the public. So, it's difficult, but it is kind of rewarding too. So I mean, it's almost like after 9/11 and or even the marathon bombings, where people just kind of take an extra look at those people who, you never realize the importance they have in society. I mean, look at truck drivers. Truck drivers are it. When I see truck drivers now, I'm like, come on, man, you got it.
Yeah.
But they're keeping. We couldn't do our job. The nurses and doctors, they couldn't do their job. The food service companies, Home Depot, no one could do their job without truck drivers. So they're the backbone of everything right now.
That is the absolute truth. Nothing gets anywhere without being loaded on a truck. I mean, if it comes by train, a truck's got to pick it up from the train. If it comes by boat,
Right.
A truck's got to pick it up from the boat. Like, truck drivers are the backbone of America. People really don't give them enough credit. But this is a time when we start to appreciate all the people out there. Like, there's people working at the grocery store for minimum wage, literally out there
Right.
risking their lives for us just so we can get
Right.
bread.
And kudos to, I just did Home Depot. I bought a new home, and I've been renovating it like a nut for the past 4 or 5 months. And the guys at the Home Depot, they're really taking care of their employees. So good for them. So if you can get out there and, you want to wait in line for 20 minutes, half hour, and, grab something and support them. But again, if you got one of those little mom and pop chains, you absolutely want to go over to, a True Value Hardware somewhere, corner store, spend an extra 50 cents or $1 on something just to keep them afloat too. Because, when you can't wait in line at the big grocery stores and you need something for your child or an elderly person or even yourself, you just run to that corner store. You can get bread, milk, whatever.
Yeah.
Just keep America going.
Oh, well, now that we got that out of the way, I think it's time to get some amazing race in here, because this is a Zoom call and I didn't pay for it, so I think we only got 40 minutes. So
Click the button.
click the button. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't used Zoom yet. I wanted to use the new Facebook Messenger thing, but it's not recognizing my camera yet. But so I'll have that worked out next week when Amy joins us. All right, let's get to the good stuff. I mean, as I'm looking at it and trying to do the recap, there's really, especially compared to nowadays, there's not a lot going on specifically to talk about. But we will do the best we can to get through it. So I took some notes. First, obviously the intro. You got young Phil looking like he just got out of some freaking frat party.
7th grade Phil.
Yeah. We're at the Bethesda Fountain in New York City Central Park, a great place to start in the heart of New York. And right off the bat, you see the teams. They come out and introduce the teams. Was there anything that stood out from the introduction of the teams that be like, wow, these guys are ready to rock, or these teams are not ready for what's about to happen? What did you see?
When you see, especially someone like you who have seen every show, I see now what people say. Well, go back to the real. I always took offense to people saying, well, you need real players, real races. And I'm like, well, I'm real. You're, the next person's real. But when we were on it, we were ready for it. You had, all those seasons to book. I watched my few seasons. We're dressed like we're going to race, it's way clothes, and people got, what do you call it, braces on, and these guys got like jeans, and they kind of like they're ready to do something, but they don't know what they're gonna do, and you can see the look on their face. They're like, "What the hell is this?" It's really, really cool. That's the first thing I noticed was like, all right, this is an adventure. That's what they're saying.
Right, it's an adventure. It is, and I mean, it's a race around the world, and you don't think about it. I mean, I think there was like 2, maybe 3 teams that really came to race. Everybody else is there for like a journey, for a quest. They're like, oh, this is cool, or to be on TV, whatever it is. And when we look at the teams now, everybody's like, I just want regular people. But you can go back to these first and second and third seasons. There's been millionaires on every single season since the first one. And one thing that pisses me off about when people are like, oh I want regular people, and then they say, who's your favorite teams? I like the Cowboys, I like the Globetrotters. Cowboys are world-class professional athletes who are very well off, who don't need the money. Globetrotters are world-class professional athletes, are very well off, don't need the money. Like, and those are like two of the teams that everybody loves, but those are the same people who scream and yell, I want regular people.
Right.
We're all regular people. Some people just have cooler jobs.
Yeah, even world champions, even like the Team IndyCar, they one of the coolest jobs in the world, but they're just regular people. It's not like you're not racing with like some A-list celebrity or anything like that. Someone who has people do their stuff for them.
Yeah.
These are just people who just they just got cool jobs, like you said.
Yeah, so we go back here, and obviously we got Rob and Brennan, who are these lawyers. They're best friends. We got Frank and Margarita, who are like a couple that used to be together that kind of broke up, and they're trying to get back. So I like the dynamic there. So you got the best friends, you got the separated but still together. Then you got Joe and Bill, which is the gay couple, which they called life partners back then. You got the frat boys. I mean, it's still the same kind of setups as every other season. You got the mother-daughter team with Nancy and Emily. You got the dating team with Lenny and Karen. You got the engaged team, the next level of Paul and Amy. And then you got grandparents, which you don't see too much grandparents anymore. And if you watch the first couple of seasons, you'll see why you don't see many of the grandparents anymore, because they hit the struggle bus and they hit it early.
Yeah. And they hit it hard. Well, actually, the bus hits them.
The bus hits them.
Yeah, when I first saw Dave and Marguerite, I was like, oh, okay, all right. But I mean, there are some older couples out there who are way more in shape than even you and I.
Yeah.
But, grab them on there. Grab. I'm an old guy. I'm going to be 50 in a month or two. So.
Hey, look at that. Hey, I'm 44. I mean, you got somebody who was like Rupert, who was like a beast on Survivor, but then he gets on the Amazing Race, can't do nothing.
Exactly.
So some people's strengths don't carry over.
Totally.
So we'll see how that plays out. We got Pat and Brenda, who are the working moms. That's again fit right into a team that we still see in these days. It's just the moms that want to prove that moms could do anything. And you got the sisters / roommates, Kim and Leslie, and a married couple with Matt and Anna. So the casting has been pretty similar all throughout the years. So when people say just bring regular people back, they've always had regular people and non-regular people, if you want to call like people with money non-regular. All right. So anyway, now that we worked through that, they start off there they're dressed in jeans. They're not ready for what's about to happen. There's one or two teams, like you could see right from the beginning, Frank is just out to fight. I mean, he's there to fight. He's going 100% balls to the wall. Him pushing Margarita, just like they're in it to win it right from the start. As soon as Phil says go, everybody's running up the stairs except Kevin and Drew. They're literally walking up the stairs to the bags. And I'm like...
when I first met Frank and Margarita, I met on the show, here, watching the show, and I said, that's the original Team Green.
Frank
Honest to God.
Margarita.
Great. I'm just like, he's bald. But I'm like, there's a lot of resemblance, like those semblances in you guys, the way you're portrayed.
Yeah.
And like Kevin and Drew reminded me of Scott Struzzulo and Mikey Ward from Boston, the firefighters.
Well, there you go. I mean, obviously they fall into these categories and they remind you of people, but Frank and Margarita, I guess I could see the somewhat resemblance. I mean, obviously, if we know what happens with the race, so I mean, there's a lot of similarities, I guess, that go forth. But we're talking about episode 1 here.
You're a large, handsome black man.
I'm a large, handsome black man with a powerful woman who's quiet, who finds her voice throughout the race. She definitely finds her voice throughout the race, which is what I like. So Frank and Margarita definitely stood out for me right from the start. As soon as they said go, you could see they were fired up and they were ready to go. Kevin and Drew, I looked at them at the start and was like, these people are not going far at all because they do not care about the race. But
Right. They were lost. That's what it seemed.
Yeah. So we're looking at ways. You're in the middle of Central Park. You're in a race, and you're trying to get to the airport. There's 3 flights. Is there any chance that you, Joey Cavino, would take the subway to save 50, $60?
Not in a million years.
Oh.
But that's now. Remember, this is season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, but you're in a race. You're in a race.
I know. Yeah. I wouldn't do it. I'm sure you wouldn't do it. But then again, look back at my season and the boys in Korea. They jumped on the train.
How did that work out for them?
4th place. Final 3.
Well, let's not get on trains. Let's
right.
let's not get on trains. Get taxis. If you have an option to take a taxi and this is a race, there's 3 flights. You want to get on that first flight. I know it's the first season, but still, it's a race. There's 3 flights. You know one's going to leave before the others. You want to get on that. I mean,
right.
It should just be common sense. But there's people like Paul and Amy and Matt and Anna, 2 couple teams, arguing about money right to start the race.
Yeah. But back to the train thing. My finale was set up to actually take the train, but everyone else, everyone shied away from it. So everyone ran. Like we took 1 train, but if you stayed on the L, it would have taken you to all 3 things nice and quickly. So, maybe it wasn't. It's you got to trust your instincts.
Yeah. So Paul and Amy and Matt and Anna were the 2 teams that wanted to save money to get on the subway. It was a big deal for them. I mean, $40, $50, that could make or break a team at some point in the race because we were really cheap and we still ran out of money twice.
Right.
3 times if you count Africa when the cab driver tried to rip me off and I almost got into a fight with him.
Allegedly.
I almost got into it. Elise was there. She calmed it down, but everything else was... I was like, it's the 3rd time. I'm not letting taxi drivers steal my money. This is the first cab driver, and he's taking literally the whole leg money. Whatever. Anyway, who cares about us? We're moving to talking about season 1. So,
right.
So we get to the airport, and Joe and Bill, cool, calm, and collected, Joe and Bill get there first, and Frank is so pissed. He starts insulting them, talking about how they look and blah, 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 just because they beat him to the airport.
Yeah. I would love to see the 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after that. That was a strong edit, that conversation, but I think there's probably a lot more going on there.
I would think so because I know I got to meet Joe and Bill, and they are just like they are on the television show. They're cool, calm, collected. They got this little smirky smile about them that could piss you off at the wrong times, and they don't care. They genuinely don't care. They will say what they feel and tell you how everything is.
Yeah,
so.
I like those guys a lot. They're funny. You're right. They have this cuteness about them, but then it's almost like a little bit of a douchebaggery at the same time.
Yes. They're cute douchebags. It's kind of.
Sorry, Joe Bill.
They're awesome. I mean, they invited us to their place in Hawaii. Invited us to have a place in Utah. Like, you can come stay whenever you want. They're the sweetest dudes.
They really are. Yeah. One of the first people ever to reach out to me.
Really?
Casper. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're really cool.
And we're going to talk a lot about them in the upcoming episodes. So on that first flight, you got Frank and Margarita, Joe and Bill, Lenny and Karen, Rob and Brennan really standing out. But the main thing is after those flights get in, there's another set of flights on a small private plane, and only 3 people can get on that first plane. And it was Joe and Bill, Rob and Brennan, Frank and Margarita. They didn't show you how the other teams fell behind there, which...
Right.
Kind of stinks because now they would have. I think they would have continued the story. There's a lot of plot holes, as you could see, things that they missed with these first couple seasons here.
Right.
So you could tell the teams that are there to play. These are the teams that are coming to play. The top 3 teams: Joe and Bill, Rob and Brennan, Frank and Margarita. That's the ones that you could say right off the bat are coming to play this game, and everybody else is just caught in a daze. So after the flights come down, there's a charter flight. After the flights come down, the charter flights come down. There is every single one of them are in a NASCAR race, which they don't allow anymore. because of speed limits and things like that. But I don't know if they're posted as much on those roads that they were driving, the speed limits. I didn't see one speed limit sign. So
Yeah, a lot of countries don't post speed limits. It's like, as you know, you get the safety brief, and I think it's smart that they do that now. But you know, a race is a race. I mean, if you can do it, you know, do it.
Yeah, well, we see in a couple later seasons how people abuse that aspect
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
And then some of the upcoming seasons. But this one here, they were speeding, going around each other. You had the option. The option was you could drive yourself, or you could hire a driver and then give the driver directions. Not
What
like
would you do?
there's zero chance that I would hire a driver who couldn't give me directions. Like, what's the point? Like, just driving the car? The only reason I hire a driver is if I couldn't drive a stick.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Would you hire a driver even though it said they couldn't give you directions?
If they see, I was a little confused by that. Like, could we give them directions that they just couldn't tell us where to go?
Correct. You could tell them left, right, left, right. I mean, you're literally just,
Right.
just
Well, I guess that
passengers.
depends on my partner. You know, if I mean, I'm real good at reading maps. Is your partner real good at maps? Because if one of you guys is driving and the other one's got to read the map and tell you left, right, and they can't read a map, Mike and Liz, you know, you're crashing.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, obviously this could have saved a couple teams from season 26 who didn't know how to drive a stick shift. This could have saved them. But other than not knowing how to drive a stick shift, there was zero reason. Unless you're like in a country like India where there's like people just speeding going around. Like I could see us getting
maybe
crazy.
even like Ireland or England where it's on the wrong side of the road and you're a little, leery about that. But I'd like to keep my own fate in my own hands, really.
Yeah. David Nielsen in the chat. Does the race impose a speed limit for self-driving legs, or if the country does not have a speed limit sign? We didn't have any self-driving legs, but I know that we were supposed to have our cab drivers follow the law. We couldn't have our cab drivers break the law.
Yeah.
You guys had self-drive at all?
We had we had a ton of them, and they just said you have to obey the local laws. You can't do anything crazy. You have to drive safely, and if they'll pull you over, they'll give you a timeout.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, they'll give you a penalty, and they'll just make you sit right on the side of the road. So it behooves. Like there were a lot of times, especially in Norway, we could have really opened it up in Norway, and it was beautiful. Like Norway's the type of place you want to have like a Camaro convertible or something. So the air and everything, and you're going through these giant mountain tunnels. There's no one around, but your camera guy will like, slow it down a little. I'm like, come on, I'm doing, what are these, kilometers? I don't even know. It doesn't matter.
Kilometers? What are we doing? Kilometers here? What is this? You got kilometers? Is it? Yeah.
Those are like half as many miles, right?
I don't even know. So if there was no posted speed limit, did they say that there's a max speed limit for you, or just to be safe?
They just said be safe.
Okay.
Yeah. Safe.
So there you go. I don't
like Panama. I think one of the teams, they stop for directions because there's no road signs, there's no signage anywhere in Panama, and no one knows where the Panama Canal is either. But that's another story. But people had to dive into a ditch because the tanker truck exploded on the side of the road. It's like, what are you gonna do there? So it's like, all right, should we drive around it? Should we wait?
Oh, Michael Jenks joining us in chat. I'm just going to run through the quick chats, the regular people. Okay. All right, Parrot Heads. Yeah, pretty hard. Okay. Well, thank you. They said we don't look 44 and 50. Do we think season 33 of The Amazing Race will be unfinished U.S. states only? Zero chance of that.
Well, they'll do it again.
They'll get back up. They'll get another season with people bringing back. But I think 32 and 33 are pretty much cast already. Well, obviously 32 is casted. 33 is cast. It started and stopped. I'm sure that they'll use that same cast again when they're ready.
Yeah.
You
never know. Could be injuries. Could be births. Could be breakups.
Could be a lot of things. Yeah. A lot of things happening in people's lives.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. All right. So after the fights, they go, let's go to the Smoke That Thunders. This is obviously, we did this leg during our season of The Amazing Race. Very similar. Heading to Victoria Falls. Basically, got to walk across the bridge, a beautiful scenery, grab a clue.
That was stunning.
Oh,
that was incredibly beautiful.
Yeah, there's nothing in the world like it. There's nothing in the world like being in the middle of Africa in a place where you could literally see, monkeys and giraffes and elephants crossing the street as you're driving. Like, you just
can you like, because we know what you're in for in the race, and you're going to these places. That's what I think is really wonderful about season 1, is because they had no idea, and some.
Had no idea. Are you getting phone calls?
Yeah. And then to think, within 24 hours of you starting this race, you're at Victoria Falls, and you get wet. You're running across this bridge. That might, if there wasn't an adrenaline start and let's get our asses in gear and win this race and have a thing. I mean, that was it. That had to be it.
Yeah, you feel it. When we ran across that bridge, you could feel there's an energy from that water flowing, the beauty. You're in Africa, the adrenaline's going, and this big thunder that you can hear from the waterfall really drives like this energy into your body and gives you this burst of like, let's do it. Let's go chase lions. I'm ready to go. So you could definitely feel it. So something that happens on the first season of Amazing Race is every leg there is a fast forward hidden somewhere, and Rob and Brennan make a break for it, and all you got to do is climb down the gorge and go get it and then climb back up. So it was just a very grueling, nothing hard about it, nothing hard about finding it, just a grueling task. Do you like fast forwards that are pretty straightforward, grueling tasks, or do you like skill-based fast forwards, kind of like season 25 when they had to surf on the fake surfboard?
Yeah, I think there's something that should have some sort of physical activity to it. If not, it should be the complete antithesis and be like some sort of a crazy puzzle that they have to figure out. Because like Dave and Margarita, they don't have a chance. And when they got hit by the train right early, right at that. Once I saw them, they reminded me of the fat guy from Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, when he couldn't get up the steps. That's what they look like. They were dressed like him and everything else. And they're going down, and they're going down hard. They're going down like a Lusitania. They might not even make it back up again.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the signs. I'm like, here we are, leg 1, and this team is gassed. They have no clue what they signed up for. They thought they were traveling around the world, just like enjoying the little things, and they were done. So they basically went for the fast forward and wasted the whole time there. And we see if they can make it up. I thought that's it. They were done, but we'll see what happens when it comes to the end.
Or next week.
We'll see. There's lots of teams have a hard time getting to this Patoka Gorge, that they basically have to go to the Patoka Gorge. And once they get to this Patoka Gorge, you have the choice, air or land, zip lining and a rope swing, or basically follow a trail all the way down the mountain to get the clue. Pretty straightforward. Either you're scared or you're taking the long, hard way. Is there any way any team during your season takes the long, hard way?
No. I mean, again, you're at Victoria Falls, and you're gonna this once in a lifetime zip line. Even Scott Flannery is gonna take that zip line. I mean, I was looking at Paul and Amy, and if I was Amy, I probably would have just pushed Paul. I'm like, dude, come on, just do it, just step.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, people. I'm afraid of heights. I am. Tara's afraid of heights, but once you do it, it's over. It's And he just never. To me, Paul didn't seem like he did it once, and it's not that bad. But again, I don't have that debilitating type of fear that Paul has, so I try to respect that. But I'm like, dude, come on, man up. It's $1 million.
That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, you're in a race for $1 million, and the first thing he's worried about is that he's like, oh, I look like a puss. I'm gonna look like a puss.
Yeah, you do, and you did.
Yeah. You can sit there flexing your muscle all you want, your little muscle, and you're like, I look like a puss. Yeah, just jump off the mountain. You got a rope on you, and you got insurance out the wazoo. You got 1,000 people doing it. Just do it. You know you're safe.
Are they from Boston? You kind of got a Boston accent, but it could be New York.
Huh.
I don't know.
I'd have to look them up. We'll have to see. I could look that up real quick, no problem.
Yeah, he
played like a Boston character.
Yeah, right? Plus.
Plus. Yeah, the Patoka Gorge. Yeah, it's funny listening to people pronounce things. Patoka Gorge. Yeah, push him off. I could definitely see at some point, like, me getting frustrated. And I couldn't do it to Diana because she's my wife and a female. But if it was like my brother, I'd have kicked him like, this is 300. And just like.
And again, like you said, Justin, that energy that you have there, you know, it's like, you're like, oh, let's do it. When I climbed the pallet thing in Norway, I was petrified. All you could hear was me breathing through the whole thing. But by the time, Grease rolled around and I had a bungee jump, I'm like, let's do it. It's $1 million. Got to do it. Just walk right out there and just go.
I love it. And that's exactly what Diana was like. You know, she's terrified of heights. She wanted to get over it. She did that bungee jump and woo!
Yeah.
Everything after that, she's like, let's go. Jumping off 30-foot story things in China. Like, she was all about it. I was like, yeah.
You eat shit once and then you're over it. That's it.
And this is where the classic line comes in. Swing, you fat bastard, swing!
Kevin and Drew, they're just great. They really are.
That's one regret from my season that I didn't make that same statement because the super fan in me was thinking, and then when we got to Patoka Gorge, I couldn't think about anything. I didn't even recognize it from season 1. The swing, it didn't hit me till after we swung. I was like, wait a second, that was from season 1. Oh my God, swing, you fat bastard. That would have been the best line.
Yeah.
But you get so caught up in the moment, man. It's
right.
It's like, But it was a great, there's nothing like it. That was my favorite thing to do on the whole race was to do that rope swing. I felt like I was jumping into Jurassic Park. It just felt so surreal, the way the mountains and the cliffs were set up. I was right over the river.
As you roared by them.
And you swing back, and it's like, I would love to do this again, but I'm in a race, and everybody's trying to get rid of me. So there's really nothing too difficult there. Nobody's going to take the trail down. Everybody does the zip line and the rope swing, gets down there. And then the pit stop, the first pit stop is the Songwe Village. Find the Songwe Village, which this was the hardest part of the race for everybody. It seemed either finding Patoka Gorge or finding Songwe Village, much harder than any of the challenges. Getting from point A to point B is the hardest part.
But isn't that the case with pretty much every season?
It is, and that's the one.
Every season, every leg. The hardest part is getting there. Once you get there, unless you're a big puss, you just getting there.
I'll never forget when Bertram said that to me at the finish line. He goes, you know, a lot of people are great at the tasks. You guys were incredible at the tasks, and you guys were always found a way to come in first. And the hardest part about this race that nobody understands is just getting from point A to point B. Yeah. And that's something that people don't prepare enough for.
You can't prepare for it.
It's tough, yeah.
You might be the greatest stick driver in the world, and like you don't have a self drive. So how do you prepare for that? How do you prepare for a shitty cab driver?
Right.
You know, it's just sucks.
There's got to be something inside of you. I don't know. You got to study maps. You got to be able to understand left and where north, south, east, and west is. Be able to understand if I'm going in the right direction just by looking. Those are like little things that can make a huge difference in the race. And obviously they didn't have any seasons to study, so a lot of people got lost on the way. But the biggest thing, I was like, the first team shows up. There's no Phil. Where's Phil?
Oh yeah, I was like, what the. Yeah, I didn't like that at all. You need Phil with his little thing.
Yeah, with his little hook. With his
little hook thing, yeah.
With his Moana hook.
Yeah.
So there's no Phil. It was just a greeter. He's like, hey, here you go. Have some great drinks. Sit down.
See you later. Yeah.
And
it was weird.
It was very weird. And there's so many things missing from this season that we're spoiled with now. That it's like, when we reminisce, those people who are like, there's nothing like those first few years. But going back and watching it, it was a lot more boring than watching the nowadays. Because
Yeah, there wasn't a lot, like when Phil gets there and he starts talking to you about your experience on that specific leg.
yeah,
That's interesting. That's what I would, and especially when you come in and you're sitting there, and then the other guy comes in behind you. It's like, oh, what happened to you with that last one? And you kind of listen to what Phil says, and
yeah,
sometimes several groups of you are together, and you guys should chat it out.
absolutely.
But I was really bummed out about that.
Yeah, and even the mat, the mat wasn't the same mat.
Yeah.
It was just some little like homemade junky.
Thing. Yeah. It's like small budget, It's like, I don't know. Maybe Phil's mom knitted it or something.
Yeah, the editing, the music, all of that. Like, obviously, this is the first season. They didn't have a budget. He did it on his own. I'm
Did
pretty
that
sure.
win an Emmy?
The
first
first
season?
I'm not sure if the first one won an Emmy or not. So could somebody look that up for me in the chat? What's up there, Derp? What's going on? Could somebody look if the first season won an Emmy? I don't think it did because I don't think there was a reality.
Well, if it did, we look like assholes.
Yeah.
We're shitting all over. It's like, oh, here's the Emmy.
Oh yeah, for the time, I mean, it was so new that they didn't need all this other stuff. I remember, there's no internet. There's no
Right.
social media. There's people's attention span is a lot longer. That's why when you go back and watch older movies, they're so slow and boring to me. It's like Jesus. Like
There's no racist recap.
you know what I'm saying? There's no racist
Right.
recap.
Jesus.
What are you gonna do?
You'd have to have some AOL chat room party about it.
Yeah. Having fun.
Like, I got punted. Like, what?
So finishing in first place by getting the fast forward was what's up, little buddy? Was Rob and Brennan, and then followed closely by Joe and Bill, and Frank and Margarita came in third. So the teams that were really in it to play came in first, second, and third, and you could see that. And then when we get near the bottom of the pack, you could see the teams that weren't. So that Kevin and Drew, once they got to Africa, I think they stepped their game up. I think they woke up. They didn't take it so nonchalantly where they're going to be walking like they did to the Box.
They did, but there was a lot of frustration there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was like, I mean, they were arguing, and right then and there, I'm like, they're either gonna fall by the wayside or somehow pull it together. But usually, friends usually just destroy each other. The friendship kind of like,
yeah, they're frat boys. I'm sure they used to arguing about everything. They used to arguing about this and that and everything.
That's right. That's a good point. Yeah. So maybe they'll pull it together.
It's the dynamic that they have, I'm sure, as friends. It's a lot different when it's a male. Hi. When it's say Racers recap. Racers recap. Say, hey there. What do you say there, world?
No, don't say that.
The Amazing Race first Emmy win was for seasons 3 and 4 in 2003. Thank you. It was actually first outstanding reality competition program ever. So thank you, Bradley. Of course, Bradley, host of the game show. Bradley Clark. Check his podcast out. It's a really good podcast. You taking him?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's telling you good night.
Oh, I love you. Good night.
Say night night.
I love you.
Hey there, Joey. Take that kid out. Take that beautiful kid, or I'll just sit here kissing him the whole time. So Rob and Brennan, by via of the fast forward, they beat out Joe and Bill, who would have won and still beat out Frank and Margarita. So that's something that they didn't show too much of them, and they're traveling on this first episode. I wish they would have.
Who's that?
Joe and Bill. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think they got enough screen time, especially for being
I
as good as they were.
I would have loved to hear their a little introductory dynamic about them, And I mean, they did the introductions at the beginning, but that was it seemed very like cliche and kind of rehearsed. Like, okay, here's a glass of wine, clink. Where my partner's great. There's so much more to Joe and Bill as we know them.
Yeah.
And And I think maybe they were trying to set that up as they're just the nice guys. And
Yeah, and then save the gems for what comes later in the season.
right.
Matt and Anna are way behind all of the other teams. They don't even show how they got that far behind. I guess they got really, really lost on the way there, but they're the only ones that really check in when it's like full dark outside.
Yeah.
And they were, one of the couples, so they got the early boot. And our little old folks team, who we were just bashing, they came in what
They six, right?
Seventh. They came
Yeah.
right. They came in 7th place. So
Middle of the pack, they did good. They made it back up the hill somehow. I don't know, but yeah, Matt didn't seem like he wanted to even be there. He didn't care.
Abdomen, man, I don't know how you say your name to give you a shout out. Abdomen, Abdomenon. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. Trying to give you a shout out. Yeah, they came in 7th place, so they made up a little time there. They
Yeah.
made up a little time because they obviously fell way back. And then next week they previewed rivalries, allies teaming up, relationships get tested. This is when it starts to get juicy.
I think Frank and Margarita are gonna fist fight.
Yeah, I think at some point they would have or have. I don't know. I haven't watched the first season in a while, so only bits and pieces stand out to me. But there was one thing that didn't air, which I think they should have aired. There was actually a roadblock on this first episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did show some of it on the DVD if you watched the DVD. But there was a roadblock where you had to cook a whole ostrich egg, and both team members had to eat it before heading to the pit stop.
Oh, no kidding. That would have been great.
So that could be part of where Matt and Anna felt.
They couldn't eat an egg.
Those things are huge.
What is this? The Flintstones that all like this?
But I think it's like a dozen eggs. I think one ostrich egg is like the size of a dozen regular eggs. So I mean, 2 people eat a dozen eggs. I mean, 2 fat bastards like us, no problem. We're done in 5 minutes.
Well, you gonna eat that other ostrich?
It's
Oh,
like,
it's just an egg. What are you doing?
bring on the ostrich. We're good to go. So they didn't air that roadblock. I thought it's something that they should have aired. But that could be part of what happened while they fell so far back into the race. Is there anything from the race that stood out to you that I didn't bring up? Obviously, I didn't take a ton of notes for the first one because there really wasn't much happening. It was a lot of just watching people travel and yell at each other a little bit.
Yeah, that the one thing that stood out, it didn't seem like it was put together, and that just comes from the experience that the production has. Over the years. But it was still, like I said, when I was talking to you about this earlier, is my mom and I were watching it. We'd spend a little time together, and I ended up going home, and then she ended up watching like 7 more episodes. And so when I went back to see her in the morning, I was like, "You still watching this? I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it." Like she's like, "Oh my god, those sons of bitches, those Guidos." I'm like, what are you telling me here? Leave me alone.
The Guidos are a love 'em or hate 'em team. They're definitely a love 'em.
Right.
First time watching it, I was not a big fan. I enjoyed them more on the rewatch, and then fell in love with them after I met them, and then I watched it again, and I was like, yeah I really like them. I could see, editing, what the edit does to you.
I've never seen the season, so this is new to me. This is a whole new thing, and I liked them at the first episode. I kind of felt bad for him that not that Frank and Margaret were picking on Frank in particular. Not they were picking on him, but he was taking his frustrations out on them. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck you, Frank. They seem like nice guys. But I see Frank. I see, like I said, I see a lot of you or your edit in Frank, where it's just determination, and I don't care about anything else. My team needs to be here. So I get that with both Frank and Margarita. She's probably a saint. I don't know, because clearly, like, they both seem like they're alphas, but she has much more control.
Yeah.
But she might just claw his face off by the fourth episode.
Well, that's good. So I won't spoil anything because I didn't realize that you haven't seen it first. So this is a first watch through. That's so cool to see it through your eyes, watching it for the first time. I guess if I'm too loud, I feel it's too loud. But it's cool to see it right through somebody who's watching it for the first time. That's going to be awesome. That's
Yeah, it's
something.
pretty exciting.
That's something that I think you can't replicate that. So
Right.
I think you're going to add a whole different dynamic to this as we
Yeah, so
go forward.
don't tell me who won.
Okay, I'm not saying anything about anything moving forward. I'm just, I won't spoil anything for you. That's great to hear.
If the old couple goes in, I'm gonna feel like a big shithead.
So because you haven't seen it, like, who are some teams that you're looking at as could potentially win it all?
Well, like you said, the lawyers have this shit together. I mean, there's so many teams that you can compare them to throughout the years. Frank and Margarita, their grit and their determination, definitely. I think Team Guido, I don't know if they're really that strong. I mean, clearly in this episode they were, but is that more luck? Is that just the way things shook out? But again, these guys, I got to give it up for the older, more mature people. Because they have a lot more life experience. They're very well traveled, so you can't really play them out. I think, to believe it or not, I never really understood the edit by watching your podcast and saying, well, these edits, I'm going to go here, and then what do you call it? Harmstone's podcast. He's really good at deciphering little clues and shit like that.
Yeah.
But Paul and Amy, I think there might be something there. Just by the way, he's being a big puss, and like she might stick her hand right up his ass and work him like a puppet. Just this is what you need to do, and he's gonna I'll fucking do it. But,
there you go. There's been a lot of puppet teams in the earlier seasons, so
yeah, that's what everyone else though. I think is just gonna go by the wayside.
All right. Well, that's a good. Well, some of them were good predictions. Some of them not so much. I'll let you see where they go, where they pan out. But this is good. This has been a good first episode just to break us in. Next week we'll be a lot more prepared. The screen will look a little bit different. There'll be a little more interactions going on. We'll have a lot more people in chat. I don't know how many people are hanging out with us right now.
I can only see your son.
Oh, got you. So, guys, throw up in this. 22, all right, there's only like 29. That's not too shabby right now. We'll get up to 50 if we can get some of the Reddit people to stop hating on me. And Reddit hates me. They used to love me before I got cast, and when I was just getting cast, they loved me. And then when my season came, they all turned on me.
Well, don't worry, Justin. I'm here to take off that load right off your shoulders.
Oh, thank you very much.
They can hate the shit out of me.
Any questions, throw them in chat right now. We'll get to those. Dale, my man Dale. Oh, man. One of the best my internet friends. Dale, appreciate it, man.
McAtee dude?
Yes. How many times have
I... Dude.
He is a great dude. How many times have I watched it? So I've seen every season at least 3 times. Some seasons I've seen 5 and 6 times.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know. So this will be, for season 1, this will probably be my 6th time watching season 1. And obviously I'm going to go watch every season all again because we're going to do these recaps all the way until we catch up. So,
Justin, give me 1 second.
Go handle your business. I'll answer some questions. Absolutely. Yes, having Phil at the mat asking those questions makes a huge difference. It definitely opens up the storytelling aspect of what this is rather than just documenting people traveling around the world. What was my favorite team over the years? I was a big Rob and Amber fan. I really, really loved watching how Rob and Amber changed the game by trying new things, thinking outside the box, running through that. I really enjoyed watching Rob and Amber on The Amazing Race. So they were definitely one of my favorite teams. Watching it through, I really enjoyed them. I like people who take chances. I like people who try new things. I like people who are thinking strategic, and so I really enjoyed them. All right, what else? Well, love you both. I'm a loyal Races recap. We know you're the best, Elena. Would you guys run The Amazing Race again if you were partnered with each other instead? Whoa. So the question in chat from Derpy Smiler said, would we run the race together, me and you, if we couldn't take our original partners.
I already got a green hat.
There we are. The Boston versus New York, like the rivals season where you're partnered with the rivals.
Right? We'd have to chug a beer or something every place.
I'm not a huge drinker, but I'm down for something. I
I'll
think
chug a beer and you like change a diaper or something like that.
I think it'd be really fun though. I think me and you would have a real fun dynamic. I don't know how great of a team we would be racing, but we would be. I mean,
Can you dance?
yeah, I could dance. I was a
Oh, then we're
professional
good.
dancer.
That's all we need. Do you speak 5 languages like my last partner?
No, she was best. I mean, she was a beast with that. I could speak a little bit of Portuguese, a little bit of Spanish. Other than that, I have good common sense. If words sound similar, I could. But no.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
You have to pick out of all the seasons.
Yeah.
You have to pick one racer who's not your partner to
Mhm.
race with. Who do you pick?
I think Jen Hudak.
Really?
Yeah.
Good choice.
I think Jen Hudak. I think she has a lot of the qualities that Diana has that makes the green team balanced.
Yeah.
So I think she has a lot of those qualities. I already have a tremendous amount of respect for her.
Yeah.
Both as what she's done in her career and what she's done in the race. And obviously having her as one of the co-hosts, I got to know a whole different side. I think she would be a great partner for me.
Yeah. Totally.
And yeah, I think that's who I'd pick. I mean, if you're thinking about, I could pick the best racers ever, it's like, would you go with somebody like, a Jeremy, who was statistically one of the best racers ever? Or you go with somebody who dragged like somebody really weak, do you take like a Zach
Right.
or do you take like Kurt from Kurt and Brody? But I think you need balance.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think like meathead male teams are the best way to go. I mean, statistically, male-female teams win the race more than anybody else. So the smart thing to do would be find a partner of the opposite sex who could balance you out. So,
Right.
So who would you pick? I mean, you put me on the spot. I mean, I'd go Jen Hudak. Who are you picking?
That was bad. Well, you just took mine. So
Oh!
honestly, there's
I mean, you can pick whoever you want to pick.
maybe no. I don't want to pump her tires too much. Oh, but that is an incredible pick. I would either pick, either Laura Pearson.
Laura, wow.
Yeah. Or, believe it or not, Haley Bivens.
No way! Of all of the races you could possibly take, Haley is on the list. She's the sweet girl, and she's like fun to hang out with. But
she's smarter than her edit.
Wow.
She's
yes.
a very, very intelligent and well-traveled person.
I get that, and I could understand. Okay, Laura, she won. She won it. You want to pick a winner that's smart. I mean, there's a million people that you could pick. I
know. But you know what, too? It's about, do I want to run the whole Amazing Race and win it with someone I friggin' hate? Or do I want to experience the whole thing and come in top 3 with someone I absolutely adore and I enjoy it with? That's how I'm looking at it.
Right.
Because you don't know if you're going to be out first or you don't know if you're going to go to the end. So who are you going to enjoy it with?
You're right. I mean, I thought about Rachel from Dave and Rachel because, they hold the record. They're the only team to win more legs than us. So obviously she's a solid racer. Friends with her on Facebook. We had a couple chats. I had her on the Races Recap. She seems really down to earth, really cool. But I would have never in a million years thought you'd pick Haley. I can understand Laura, but I see you have a thing for pretty blondes. That's
it's but you know what? Look at Ashton from my season. Pretty blondes can pretty anyone. Yeah, you and I were a little rough around the edges. Let's face it.
Oh yeah,
you need that voice of reason. If they can use certain skills that they have too to get us places, first class. I don't know, but use it.
No,
let's say this: you have to pick a dude.
Have to pick a dude. I do like Kurt from Kurt and Brody. I do like he's able to calm down because I could be wild like Brody was. So he could be a good balance for me. I have a great amount of respect. I like Zach King. He wasn't the best racer, but he's somebody who could bring me Zen back. He could bring my Zen right down
patience.
to it.
Huge patience.
See, there's a lot of great male racers, but that I think are great, but wouldn't be great partners for me.
But you got to pick one. Or
You're
you
right.
can't go on the race.
But you got to pick one.
Gotta pick
Got to pick one now. Yeah,
right now.
I think I'm gonna.
You know what? Bertram calls you right now and says, "You're leaving today after tomorrow. Pick from this list. Go."
I think Corey from Tyler and Corey would be a great balance for me. He could keep it light and funny. I don't see
very fun,
any reason why I would ever argue with him because he knows how to keep it really light.
Right.
So I'm picking Corey.
Okay.
I'm picking Corey. I am picking Corey. Yeah, he's a great racer, and he could balance me out. I think. I think he could balance it out. And maybe that's one of the reasons that I picked these people to be on the Races Recap, because I only reach out to people that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and I think they'd be entertaining as well. So I really have a tremendous amount of respect for you, and I think you're extremely entertaining. So thank you very much for coming and being a host this season.
My pleasure. I love it.
I think you're going to add a lot to it. All right, two more questions, then we're out of here. Why was season 32 been hold for 2 years, and will you like to see the fast passes again on the race? No fast passes. And why did it take so long? Because CBS is trying out a lot of new shows, and somehow Amazing Race fell into the filler category. So it's something that you could throw in and it's going to get 6 million viewers. You put it at any time slot, it's going to get at least 6 million viewers. They know that. You give it a great time slot, it'll get 8 million viewers. So I think that's why. But yes, there's going to be a season 32. There's going to be a season 33. Will there be a season 34? I don't know.
I hope so.
I know The Amazing Race can be a lot cheaper than some scripted shows to produce. So with all these scripted shows going down because of the coronavirus, maybe that they have more reality shows because they're cheaper potentially.
Right.
But Amazing Race, it takes so many people to coordinate. I mean, there's hundreds of people coordinating through, 10, 15 countries to make this thing happen. So it's a lot of money.
And then you have to have the backup plans too for when, some country takes a giant shit for whatever reason.
Like it did this season. There's a couple times during this season where they had to actually extend days and change pit. Like you stopped at this pit stop, but you started somewhere else because there was a sandstorm. We'll get to that.
Right.
We'll talk about that as the season comes up. I hope they make it to season 50. All right, a couple more questions and we're out of here. Haven't seen you since the opening leg of Washington Square Park. Would you love to compete with Colin and Christy? Yes, I would have loved to be on that season. We got called to be on that season. Diana was pregnant. We had to say no, but I think that would have been the perfect season to be on. We could race against tough teams like Colin and Christy and Tyler and Corey and the Afghanimals, and we could show everybody what it is that we bring to the table. There are some people who think that our season was a weak season because of how easy we made it look against the other teams. And I really want to shove it down people's throats and go up against the best of the best, because I think it doesn't matter what 10 other teams were there. Nobody was going to beat us. Only ones that beat us was us.
Right. Exactly.
And that's genuinely how I feel. You can line me up against the 11 best teams to ever run the race, and I think every team on that leg will turn and look at us and have a little fear in the heart, while we'll turn and look at them and know that we could beat them. So I think that's the difference between a lot of teams and what we bring to the table. Past races, what stands out from you from a racer's point of view? What do y'all think you could have prepared or adjusted? I mean, there's a lot from season 1 that I think we could have done differently.
Yeah. The thing about, I think the in-race preparation I could have done, Tara and I could have done a lot more of. And honest to God, I think that's why, Team Drama won that last leg, because while we were in the beautiful 10-hour flight and it was the presidential first premium class, whatever it was. I was snoring away and drinking like a fish, and they were just studying Chicago, studying everything else.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the differences that they did not show on our season. Every time we were on a flight, I was studying the country we're going to. I let Diana sleep. I was like, go to sleep. I'll study. I'll write notes and catch you up so she could be rested. A lot of the other teams snoring. There was a couple that were asking questions, but I would sit with a local. I'd get as much information as I could. I'd talk with the flight attendants, get as much information as I could, look at the little pamphlets, learn as much as I could, find somebody with internet and see if I could use their internet and learn as much as I could about the countries that we're going to. And it made a huge difference in at least 3 legs, 100% for sure.
Totally.
When we were in Buenos Aires, the Cathedral of Polo was in quotation marks. It said, head to the Cathedral of Polo. And people are like thinking it's a cathedral, like a church.
Yeah.
Like most of the other teams were heading there. And I knew that Polo was huge, the number one thing down there. So the first thing I did when I got into a cab, I didn't say head to the Cathedral of Polo. I said, take us to the biggest, most popular polo field. And that's the directions I gave him. While everybody else got in a cab and was like, Cathedral of Polo, Cathedral of Polo. Do you know what this is? Cathedral of Polo. And like you get in a cab and you're expecting the cab driver to know the answer to the clue you're supposed to figure out. But if you figure out the clue, then you tell them the right place to take you.
And that's huge.
And I think
That's
little things
them,
like that.
them stopping for 5 seconds and asking what the Cathedral Polo is to someone else where you have already done that on a plane or at an airport or you find it.
Because what people don't know is it takes at least 5 minutes because that 5 seconds, they have to stop. The cameraman got to get permission. They have to fill out a form. Cameraman get permission, and then you leave. So if you don't have to ask for directions or anything, then you have a lot more of an advantage for somebody else.
Right.
All right. I think that's going to do it for the questions. Any more questions, feel free to use the hashtag Racers Recap on social media. All of Joey's and mine's and Maya's social media are in the comments section down below. Feel free to click on them, follow us along. We are both really, really cordial and respond really well to fans that want to reach out to us. So don't be afraid that Joey's going to bite your head off. He's one of the good guys. He's one of the good guys.
I'll still bite your head off, but I'll just give you an answer.
There you go. Yeah, it'll be a smart-ass answer, but it'll be an answer.
Yeah.
So, as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day. We know how valuable it is. It's the most important thing you got. And I hope that we can bring you a little bit of levity, a little bit of entertainment during these tough times. So, thank you so much for sticking around with us. We'll be here every Sunday, either 7 or 7:30. I have to talk to the wife to see, because 7:30 is when the kid falls asleep. So, we'll see. But we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week with